I ended my marriage with the guy I'd loved for a decade. After 7 secretive years of adoring Marcus, he popped the question, saying, "Let's tie the knot." 3 years into our marriage, I told him, "We need a divorce." In my 10th year of loving Marcus, I brought up the idea of separation. It all kicked off when he didn't show up after his shift. I drove over to his workplace to check him out and caught him chatting with a girl outside the office. I instantly knew her as his ex, who'd been with Marcus for 5 years. They were hanging on the steps. Marcus looked sharp in his blazer, and the girl with her tousled hair seemed all sweet and loving. They weren't holding hands or anything, but there was this vibe that kept people away. I peeked at our message thread. The last text I sent was, "You coming home for dinner tonight?" No reply. He'd been ghosting me for a bit, always saying he was swamped. But clearly he wasn't too busy to text another girl. I didn't go up to them. I just stood there, watching quietly. Marcus's smile felt off to me. It hit me that he hadn't really smiled at me in ages. Even though we were married, he always came home looking cold. I thought it was just work stress, but it seemed I couldn't make him smile anymore. He gave me a quick glance, and his face went stiff. Then he said something to the girl, her smile vanished. She waved at him, and then looked at me before walking away. Marcus hurried over, opened the car door, and sat in the passenger seat with a scowl. "What are you doing here?" he snapped. I replied coolly, "I came to pick you up after work, you know that. Didn't you say you wouldn't let Jenny into our company?" Marcus's frown deepened. Jenny was a Harvard grad, killing it in investment banking on Wall Street. Where else could you find someone like her? "Why wouldn't I let her come?" He was getting irritated. "Can you stop being all about love and romance all the time? Look at what she's become. Tons of companies are chasing her. If it wasn't for my connections, she might not have shown up at all." His disdain was clear. I stared at the cars passing by without saying a word. When we got home, Marcus didn't talk either. He slammed the study door shut hard. He was pissed. He didn't realize he was just masking his guilt with anger. Maybe only I, who'd been with him for 10 years, could get him like that. Sometimes I hate myself for understanding him so well. It's better to be confused than painfully aware. Neither of us made the first move, and I didn't throw a fit like I usually did. We just went into a silent war, separated by a closed door. After a bit, the study door was yanked open, and Marcus, looking serious, said, "What do you want anyway? I'm telling you, I can't fire Jenny. You either accept it or we get a divorce. Whoever leaves, we both can handle life without each other, Diana. Let me tell you." I cut him off softly. "There's no need to fire her. Let's get a divorce." Marcus paused. "What did you say?" He seemed to laugh angrily, mocking in his eyes and smirk. "Diana, I'm not kidding. You've had enough. There's no talking about Jenny." "Don't threaten me now and cry later." He sneered like a jerk. Marcus always spoke bluntly. The first time we argued like this, I cried all day, feeling like my heart was breaking. But now, there was just a dull ache, quickly turning to numbness. I didn't argue back. I pulled out the divorce papers from my bag and set them on the table. "I've signed it already. You keep the house, and I take the cash and the car, roughly splitting everything. If you have other requests, we can talk." Marcus went quiet, looking at me in disbelief. Then his shock turned to anger. He grabbed the papers roughly and glanced over them coldly. "Fine, you've got some nerve, Diana. Once I sign, there's no going back. Think it through." I handed him the pen. His face darkened instantly. He snatched the pen from me and hastily signed his name, then tossed the papers in my face. "Tomorrow. We're divorcing tomorrow." He shouted angrily. "Anyone who doesn't go is a loser." I nodded. "Tomorrow morning at 9. I've already booked it." He paused, and I stayed silent. I shut the door and headed back to the guest room. I could hear things being smashed outside, so I covered my eyes with my arm. How did it get this far? At first, I wanted us to be happy. Marcus and I had a whirlwind marriage. For him, it was out of the blue. But for me, I'd been secretly in love with him for 7 years. He had just split with Jenny back then. When they were together, I never dared to get in the way. Only after they broke up did I muster the courage to attend events where he was. At a class reunion, he got wasted. Clearly because of Jenny. Jenny had just gotten into Yale. But Marcus had taken over his dad's business, planning to expand it locally. They couldn't see eye to eye, and after a big fight, the 5-year couple split. As they left, friends who knew I liked him nudged me to give him a ride home. I had to call a cab and help him get back, struggling as he was tall and solid, making it hard for me to reach the light switch. In the dark, he slurred, "J.E.?" I thought he was calling my name. With the warmth of his drunkenness around me, I froze, and when he leaned in to kiss me, I didn't pull away. Early the next morning, while he was still asleep, I quickly left his place. He didn't reach out either. Just when I thought it was a one-time thing, a month later, my period still hadn't come. I convinced myself it was just a fluke. But after taking a test, I saw 2 lines. I took a day off, stayed home, and finally mustered the courage to text Marcus on WeChat. I didn't want to pressure him or ask for money. I just felt that our child was his right to know about. For a day and night, Marcus didn't reply. When I'd lost all hope, he suddenly called. On the call, his voice was flat. "I'll take responsibility. Diana, let's get married." I still remember the rush I felt hearing those words. It was the first time I truly felt my heart race. Like fireworks in my chest, it was even more dizzying than winning big. Holding back my excitement, I acted cool and asked, "Do you actually like me? I don't want you to be with me just out of duty." He didn't answer directly. After a long silence, he said, "Don't overthink it. I'll come find you later." After hanging up, I clenched my hands tightly. Memories of that lively guy on the high school basketball court flooding my mind. Love doesn't need a reason. It just grows. I'm not sure when I started liking Marcus. Maybe when I saw his sweaty brow during basketball, or when he smiled and left a bubble tea on my desk, saying, "Bro, this one's on me." All I know is I'd loved him for way too long. It felt like finally seeing dawn after wandering alone in the dark. Even though his mom looked down on me for getting pregnant before marriage and didn't even give us a dowry, or accept my tea for the address change, even though we couldn't keep the baby. But back then, I felt like the happiest person alive. Being with him turned all the bitterness sweet. How naive I was. In the darkness, a bitter smile curled my lips. Little did I know, in just 3 short years, the dream would crumble. The next morning, I was all packed and ready to leave, but Marcus was still asleep. I knocked on the door a few times before he opened it in his gray pajamas, looking annoyed. "You in such a rush?" I checked my watch. "If we're late, we gotta reschedule." I hesitated. "You've been talking about divorce forever, and now it's happening. Aren't you happy?" I forced a smile through clenched teeth. "Yeah, I'm happy Jenny's back and you're being smart about finding a new place just in time." I nodded. On the way, neither of us said a word. Marcus had that constant frown, and I'd gotten used to it. I don't know when it started, but we barely talked anymore. At first, I loved chatting with him. After years of liking him, I had so much to share. If I saw a cute cat, a pretty flower, or a weird cloud, I'd send him pics. But he rarely responded. Usually, he'd only reach out when he needed something, replying reluctantly with a simple, "Yay." I couldn't fool myself. He just wasn't a chatty person. I saw his convos with Jenny on social media, and it seemed like Marcus had become someone I didn't recognize, witty and funny, responding to all her topics instantly. Over time, I stopped messaging him as much. When we got to the Civil Affairs Bureau, the mediator, an older lady, tried hard to get us back together. "Is your relationship beyond repair?" Marcus was about to speak, but I smiled and said, "No, we had a rushed marriage without any real emotional foundation. It feels wrong now, and we can't keep going like this." Marcus looked at me, his expression mixed. The mediator tried to persuade us, but I shut down her efforts. Finally, she sighed. "Take a month to cool off and think again. Young couples like you, with the guy's talent and the girl's beauty, are so well matched. You're just being impulsive. Think about each other's good sides." I thought about it. Marcus was handsome, the high school heartthrob. He came from a good family, his parents owned a company and had plenty of cash. In college, he used to pick up Jenny in his sports car while we took the bus. He had a great personality, surrounded by friends, never a dull moment. He was a good guy, except with me. He treated me poorly. When we left the bureau, the midday sun hurt my eyes, making me tear up. Marcus thought I was crying and finally showed a satisfied smirk. "Regretting it now? Too late." He stood in front of me with a condescending stance, hands in his pockets. I won't turn back. I wiped my eyes and drove home with him. Once home, Marcus sat on the couch, legs crossed, and out of habit, he ordered me around. Get me a glass of water. I ignored him and came out of the bedroom with my suitcase. Where are you going? He frowned. I found a new place and I'm moving out today. I paused, then continued. I kept all your stuff in the bedroom cabinet. Who cares? Marcus suddenly blew up. I forced a smile. Since we're divorcing, let's say our goodbyes properly. Take care of yourself, drink less, your stomach isn't good. Who do you think you are, meddling in my business? He abruptly stood up, grabbed my suitcase, opened the door, and threw it outside. If you're leaving, then leave now. His eyebrows furrowed, eyes burning with anger. I stared at the suitcase on the ground, stunned. Then I stopped talking, picked it up, and entered the elevator without looking back. His gaze followed me, burning like it wanted to scorch my back, but the elevator doors shut it all off. I didn't want the house anymore. I wanted nothing to do with Marcus. No more seeing his stuff, smelling his cologne, or thinking about anything related to him. I'd already decided on the divorce. Marcus never liked me. I always knew that. I kept believing that after so many years, even if he had a heart of stone, it would eventually soften for me. But after all this time, he still doesn't love me. My warmth has completely dried up. I finally get that some people are truly irreplaceable. Maybe he can see Jenny's smile, but no matter how hard I try, he can't see mine. I moved into a rented house. Before I could even unpack, Marcus's mom called. Marcus, did you buy the stomach meds? I heard his stomach's been acting up lately. It's not me saying this, Diana. I never agreed when Marcus wanted to marry you. How can a decent girl get pregnant before marriage? If it were my daughter, I'd have beaten her to death. It's embarrassing. Our family can't afford to break the line. If you can't have kids, say it early. Marcus is still young, don't delay. I clenched my phone. Marcus's family is loaded, and his mom never liked my family. My parents had to fake smiles and endure her coldness during visits. Over the years, she always disliked me, no matter how hard I tried to please her. She'd said these things before. Every time we met or she called, she'd repeat how I climbed on Marcus and how tough it was for their family. Marcus never stood up for me. He just told me to be obedient and filial to his mom because she'd made sacrifices to accept me. So I always put up with it. But this time, I wasn't going to endure it anymore. I said flatly, Auntie, we're already divorced. I'm not obliged to buy him meds anymore. By the way, you didn't give birth to me, nor did you raise me. You have no right to meddle in my affairs. If you can't stand me, you better deal with your own issues. After saying that, I didn't care about her reaction and hung up, blocking her number. After some thought, I left all the WeChat groups related to Marcus's family and deleted and blocked all their contacts, including his. After doing all this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and lay down on the bed. Divorce wasn't as painful as I thought. Marcus always threatened me with divorce during fights. It felt like he had me under his thumb, knowing I wouldn't leave him, and he used my love to threaten me. It seemed like he controlled me, using my love to hurt me without holding back. As he predicted, the first time he threatened me like that, I was genuinely scared. He was right. I kneeled before him like a dog, admitting my mistakes, promising to change, and willing to do anything as long as he didn't leave me. I covered my eyes with my palms, feeling a damp warmth. But even heartache has its limits. Over and over, that pain numbed me through endless repetition. The chains that pierced my bones and flesh, carrying rotten blood, finally left me. Now all that's left is freedom. Marcus stopped contacting me. It was like he vanished from my life. 2 weeks later, a classmate approached me, asking if I wanted to join the reunion the next night. At first, I wanted to say no. I really didn't want to see Marcus again. But then I thought it wasn't my fault and I didn't need to avoid him. So I agreed to go. At the reunion, I was chatting with others when the door swung open. Marcus walked in, still in his day suit, tailored and fitting, with just the top button of his collar undone. His black hair added a touch of slick charm with a hint of mischief. Without saying a word, his commanding presence dominated the room. Following him was Jenny, dressed to the nines. As soon as they entered, everyone started buzzing. Oh, Marcus and the campus beauty are back together. I knew you two couldn't break up. It was such a scene back then. Come, Sit over here. That's right, I remembered when Jenny went abroad. Marcus almost ended up in the hospital from drinking. He'd been waiting for her all these years, hadn't he? When I married Marcus, he said he didn't like formalities, so we skipped the wedding ceremony. After marriage, he never posted anything about me on social media, and even when we went out, he kept his distance. It's ironic that we'd been married for 3 years, but apart from a few close friends, no one knew we were together. Marcus's gaze cut through the crowd and landed on me, eyes mocking, smirk on his lips. I didn't look at him and turned to talk to the person next to me. His face darkened and he sat down with Jenny. Why is Jenny back? I heard you've been killing it abroad, planning to come back and contribute to the homeland? Someone joked. Jenny brushed her wavy hair aside and smiled ambiguously. Now that I'm older, I should start thinking about settling down. My family's been pushing me. She didn't mention anyone by name, but everyone laughed. Yeah, Marcus has been waiting for you all these years. Now that you're back, good things are happening, right? Jenny stayed silent, blushing and lowering her head, smiling. Hey, Marcus, you're really sentimental, but our Jenny is an independent woman now, both talented and beautiful. You two are a perfect match. But speaking of beauty, I think Lisa is also gorgeous. Back in our class, there were always debates about who the campus beauty was, you or Jenny. I was about to speak when Marcus sneered, "What's the use of just being beautiful? Some people only think about love and romance all day. They've turned into foolish housewives. No wonder no one loves them." My face went pale. I knew he was talking about me. When he started his business, he was super busy. If I had pursued a career too, we wouldn't have been together. For him, I turned down all job offers to take care of him at home. Everyone went quiet, and then a classmate jumped in, trying to ease things. We shouldn't say it like that. Lisa also got offers from major companies back then. She made millions from her university projects. I remember one company even offered her a $3 million a year salary. But why didn't you take any of those offers? He asked. Did you get married? Marcus froze and looked at me. I lowered my gaze and replied calmly, yeah, I married a jerk. I turned down all those opportunities for him just to take care of him. But a jerk is a jerk, no matter how much you sacrifice. Thankfully, I cut my losses in time. A female classmate nearby sympathized. Yes, some men are like that. When they get married, they want a nanny to take care of them. After a few years, they complain their wives aren't independent enough and end up with clingy, dependent women. Ugh, trash-like, they deserve to grow old alone. The topic quickly shifted, and classmates began discussing their own relationships and marriages, warning against being too love-struck or ending up with such jerks. I had always been submissive to Marcus, so this was the first time I sarcastically criticized him. He stared straight at me, looking confused. He wanted to say something, but his voice got lost in the noisy chatter. The gathering ended, and I got in my car to leave. As I started the engine, someone knocked on my window. One of Marcus's friends looked at me with concern. Sis-in-law, Marcus's stomach is acting up again. Can you take him home? I frowned. What about Jenny? He hesitated for a moment. She offered to take Marcus, but he refused. Marcus listens to you the most. I glanced to the side. Not far away, Marcus stood at the hotel entrance, bathed in orange light. When his eyes met mine, it seemed like he was burned and quickly looked away. Jenny stood beside him, saying something, but he seemed spaced out, frowning and waving his hand dismissively. We're already divorced. I looked away. Sorry, find someone else. Sis-in-law. The guy wanted to say more, but I nodded and drove off without another word. In the rearview mirror, I saw Marcus watching me intensely, slightly bowing his head, his face looking pale. I didn't look back and kept driving. I cared so much about Marcus that even people around him knew it. His stomach issues started when Jenny left, and he turned to drinking. In these 3 years, I transformed from someone who couldn't even boil water to a housewife who could cook and make soup in various ways to care for his health. I bought all his stomach meds, divided them into daily doses, stuffed them into his clothes, and reminded him to take them. When he forgot his meds on a business trip and had a bad stomachache in the middle of the night, I braved the freezing winter to catch an early flight and deliver the meds. But by the time I got there, He was already asleep. I stood at the door for hours, waiting until my body was covered in snow. When Marcus woke up and opened the door, he just frowned impatiently and said, "Give me the meds and go." It was on that trip back that I slipped and lost my baby. The past gnawed at my heart like bugs, not tearing it apart, but the subtle pain was impossible to ignore. Sometimes I don't even understand myself. I'm not this kind of person, so why did I become so lowly and pathetic for him? But emotions are irrational. They can easily destroy a person's principles. With one smile from him, all my boundaries crumbled, leaving me at his mercy. But my love had completely worn away. That Lisa who used to be so full of him in her heart and eyes was slowly being eroded by him. The next day, just as I was about to leave, I got a call from my parents. They said Marcus's parents were here and asked me to come home to talk. I'd been expecting this day. Divorce isn't just a simple matter. It involves two families. Even though I didn't want to go back, I knew I had to put an end to it eventually. But after 2 short weeks away, home felt strange to me. As I walked in, I felt a sense of oppression. Both sets of parents were sitting on the couch, and Marcus was there too, smoking and staying silent. Maybe they sensed I was serious this time. Surprisingly, Marcus's mom didn't scold me directly. She just frowned and said, "Diana, I know young people have their tempers, but divorce isn't something to take lightly. How can you just say divorce so easily?" I chuckled lightly. "Auntie, you should ask your son about that. Divorce was his idea. If I remember right, this is already the 13th time Marcus mentioned divorce to me. Since he wants a divorce so badly, I can only grant his wish." Marcus's mom was taken aback, forcing a smile. "Marcus is just being childish. He hasn't grown up yet, still immature." "Is that so?" I responded coolly. "He's actually a year older than me. Does he have some sort of issue if at 25, he's still not mature?" Marcus's mom was speechless. Marcus's father coughed. "Diana, this kid Marcus doesn't know any better. As parents, we apologize on his behalf. But when problems arise in a marriage, it's definitely not all one-sided. It takes two to tango." I interrupted. "Uncle, let me slap you. Will you say it won't make a sound?" I stood firm. Since we were already divorced, I had no reason to stay silent anymore. I decided to say whatever I needed to. I walked up to Marcus and sternly said, "Marcus, stop pretending you don't know. Tell your parents what exactly I did to deserve all this. Your ex-girlfriend came back, and you said you didn't like a homemaker like me who only cares about love and family. You said I wasn't independent enough, but wasn't it your family who said you had health issues and asked me to take care of you? For all these years, I've been doing the laundry and cooking at home, preparing 3 meals a day in different ways because of your stomach problem. As someone who loves spicy food, I haven't cooked anything spicy at home. Marcus, be honest with yourself. Is this my fault?" Marcus stayed silent. His mom couldn't help but speak up. "Don't just blame him. After all these years, you haven't had any kids either. The baby didn't make it. Who knows why?" I abruptly turned around and raised my voice. "Yes, I got pregnant before we were married, but pregnancy isn't something I can do alone. If Marcus didn't want it, could I force him? Why is it all my fault? You say the baby didn't make it. Why don't you ask your son why my baby didn't make it? He went on a business trip without his meds for his stomach. In the middle of winter, I rushed to the airport early morning to deliver them, but he fell asleep and didn't let me leave with the meds. My feet were frozen and numb, and I lost the baby when I fell. I want to ask you, whose fault is it, really? Is it mine?" I didn't mean to cry, but the emotions I'd suppressed for so long poured out uncontrollably. Did I do something wrong by giving my all? Why does loving someone turn into a mistake? Almost on the verge of collapse, I shouted, "Marcus, tell me, what did I do wrong?" My mother stood up, shocked, and asked Marcus with a trembling voice, "Didn't you say it was her accidentally falling?" I smiled bitterly, bowing my head. "I was afraid you'd scold him. I was just too foolish." My mother's eyes turned red instantly, and she questioned Marcus, her voice trembling. "We haven't mistreated you all these years. We truly treated you like our own son. Your mother didn't give a dowry, didn't have a wedding ceremony, and had countless criticisms of Diana, and we didn't say anything. We knew Diana liked you. We just hoped you'd treat her well. And this is how you treated her." Marcus's face lost all color. I'm sorry, Mom. Don't call me Mom. I'm not your mother. My mother shouted loudly, eyes filled with raging anger. My father's expression turned grim, and he lowered his head, clenching his fists. Marcus, I don't know what your intentions were bringing your parents and mine here, but I haven't done anything wrong to you all these years. I don't want things to get uglier than they already are. Let's part ways amicably, I said wearily. Marcus looked up, emotions swirling in his eyes, and after a long silence, he whispered softly, You're not wrong. It's all my fault we've come to this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Diana, give me a chance to make it up to you. I won't be like this anymore. A hint of sarcasm flashed in my eyes. Of course you didn't mean to. You just enjoyed the good I gave you while despising me? Marcus, sometimes I really can't understand. You haven't given me anything, and you have no right to decide anything for me. You just took advantage of my love and kept hurting me, all while looking down on me. I leaned in close and whispered softly, What exactly are you? Marcus, on what grounds? Marcus's eyes trembled, his face pale as if he'd just recovered from something serious. Facing my question, he couldn't say a word, as if my words had pierced his heart like 1,000 arrows. For the first time, he was at a disadvantage in front of me, his back bending inch by inch. Jenny came back. You clearly told me you wouldn't let her into the company, and yet you kept her here. Marcus, you were unfaithful to our marriage, broke your promises, and then blamed everything on me, saying all I thought about was love and romance. Isn't this perfect now? I'll make way for you both. Marcus looked up urgently. Jenny and I have nothing going on. We're just colleagues. I sneered. Do you dare say you have no intentions of rekindling old feelings? Do normal colleagues need to have meals together every day and exchange messages while holding hands? Marcus, do you think everyone's a fool, willingly fooled by you? Marcus opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. I stood up and said indifferently, I've said everything I needed to say. I hope you won't bother me anymore. Just as I was about to walk out, Marcus called out. His voice trembled, as if the composed and arrogant person had finally been ripped apart from the facade, only now realizing his true self. Diana, if I'm willing to change, can we still have a chance? I turned to look at him, and to my surprise, his eyes showed a hint of unease. Marcus had always been arrogant and dismissive with me, always in control. I'd never seen him so scared. It's too late, I said softly, then closed the door. After leaving Marcus, I started sending out resumes, planning to find a job. Fortunately, I hadn't been out of school too long, and the projects I worked on were impressive enough. Many companies were still eager to hire me. In his eyes, I must be worthless, not even on Jenny's level. So, in this relationship, I constantly doubted myself, living in pain every day, questioning if I was truly that inadequate. But now I realize he doesn't get to decide who I am. I'm doing just fine. When I got home in the evening, I bought myself a small cake as a treat. In a few days, the cooling off period would end, and I could fully free myself from this relationship. But my good mood was cut short by a phone call. Jenny's voice sounded distorted on the phone. Let's talk. I looked at the cake in my hand, feeling impatient. There's nothing for us to talk about. Don't you want me to keep coming to see you? Some things are better said and discussed, she said, even though she was the one reaching out, her attitude still arrogant. I simply hung up the phone. The next day when she called again, her attitude had softened. I just want to discuss some things with you. Just an hour. It won't take up much of your time. I didn't want to go, but I was afraid she'd keep bothering me every day. I could only find a time to meet her. Jenny got straight to the point. I don't want you to contact Marcus anymore. Since you've broken up, let it be a clean break. Don't keep lingering. I looked at this woman, dressed in a white Chanel suit, her long hair elegantly styled, sophisticated yet professional. No wonder Marcus liked her for so many years. You know, it was me who got together with him first. We had a good relationship, and if it wasn't for your interference, we might have reconciled long ago. Now that you're divorced, I don't want you to keep influencing him. I sneered. I blocked her long ago. So where's the lingering connection? Jenny looked incredulous. Marcus has been restless lately. If it's not you constantly reaching out to him, Then who could it be? I've noticed you two are really good at making up stories. I laughed and said firmly, interfering? Interfering with what? You two broke up, and we got together. Is that interfering? Marcus didn't marry me. Do you expect me to hold a knife to his throat and force him to be with me? Why don't you go ask him about it? Regarding her claim about me reaching out to him, I put my coffee down and looked at Jenny disdainfully. Rest assured, you can keep a close eye on him since you like him so much. I'm no longer interested in him. Jenny wanted to say something, but suddenly her eyes widened. Marcus hurried over from my side and pulled her up, angrily saying, "Are you crazy? Who told you to come find her?" Jenny's face turned pale, but she stubbornly replied, "What's wrong with me finding her? You two are divorced, why are you still thinking about her? You are the one who told me she has a boring personality, always revolving around you, and that you were annoyed by her." Marcus froze, then turned to look at me. I nonchalantly crossed my arms. I've heard these words too many times, and they no longer hurt me. Gritting his teeth, Marcus said, "You're insane. It's none of your business what happens between me and her. We haven't gotten married. We haven't divorced yet." Jenny looked at him in shock, her eyes welling up with tears. "We were the ones who got together first, and you said you couldn't forget about me, didn't you? Marcus, have you forgotten our past?" "The past is already gone." Marcus grabbed her arm tightly. "I have a wife. I have nothing to do with you." He stared at Jenny, enunciating each word. "I'm warning you, don't come looking for her again, or I won't be polite to you." Tears finally fell from Jenny's eyes. She looked at Marcus for a long time before forcing a bitter smile. "Marcus, you're ruthless." She forcefully pulled her hand away and ran out of the coffee shop with red eyes. Marcus pulled me out of the coffee shop. He stayed silent for a while before speaking. "I'm sorry, you were right." Initially, I did intend to reconcile with Jenny. At that time, I was young and couldn't handle being dumped. So when she came back, I always wanted her to see how successful I've become and make her regret it. I mistook that obsession for love. He rubbed his face and whispered, "Now I understand I haven't loved her for a long time." I didn't know when it started snowing, the snowflakes falling gently on Marcus's shoulders, but he seemed unaware, just wearing a bitter smile. After you said those words that day, I thought about it a lot when I got home. I realized I'm the one who's truly worthless. I felt like I can't live without you, that you can't leave me. So I hurt you recklessly, even looked down on you. But now, thinking about it, you just loved someone. Your love is pure, wholehearted, and noble. I'm the one who's truly despicable. In the distance, a street lamp lit up. A snowflake fell on his eyelashes, quickly turning into a glistening droplet of water. His voice lowered. "After you left home, there was no one to make me soup when my stomach hurt. I wanted to take meds, but couldn't find them. I wanted to buy them, but didn't even know their names. Now I realize it's me who can't live without you. I feel restless every day. I don't like this feeling of confusion, but I truly don't know what I should do. The bedsheet is so cold, it scares me." Marcus covered his face, let out a bitter laugh, and hoarsely said, "So, it turns out, I've already fallen in love with you." He said so many words, which surprised me. When he was with me, Marcus was always stingy with his responses, leaving me to perform a one-woman show. It turns out he could speak so much. It just came at the wrong time, and I didn't want to listen anymore. I reached out and caught a snowflake, cool and melting in my palm. "Marcus, you don't love me. You just feel uncomfortable with the person who's always been by your side leaving. You're just scared no one will love you like I do." I turned to leave, but Marcus grabbed me. He slightly bowed his body, his expression almost humble. "Diana, please, Marcus, have never begged anyone in my life, but I'm begging you. Give me another chance, please. I was wrong before. I didn't know how important you already were in my heart. I will." I pulled his hand away, interrupting him. "Marcus, no one will wait for you in the same place forever. I'm not your parents. They only have one son, you. But for me, there are many men." Marcus stood there for a long time, calling out to me loudly, with a hint of heart-wrenching pain in his voice. "Diana." In the swirling snow, he was lightly dressed, his eyes gradually turning red. I won't divorce. I turned back calmly and said, then I will file for divorce. Marcus, you look so pathetic. Don't be like a dog. It was as if his throat had suddenly been choked. He stared at me, his expression filled with sorrow and regret. A tear suddenly fell from his eye. These were the words he said during the divorce, now echoed back to him. I finally understood him. When you don't love someone, hurtful words can easily slip out. He finally regretted it. Unfortunately, the right words came too late, and it was already a mistake. Marcus ended up in the hospital again due to excessive drinking. His friend called me in a panic, saying, "Sis-in-law, please, I'm begging you." Marcus drank all night, and no matter how we tried to persuade him, it didn't work. "Can you please come and see if he's okay?" He kept calling your name and crying, apologizing to you. His friend defended him, saying, "He truly loves you. How can you be so heartless?" I let out a cold laugh. When I was suffering from acute appendicitis and an unbearable pain, he was having dinner with Jenny outside. I called him multiple times, but he refused to answer. In the end, I had to call an ambulance to save myself. The doctor said that if I had come any later, they might not have been able to save me. My intestines had already perforated. But when Marcus found out, he only responded lightly, "Okay, got it." It was then that the last trace of love I had for him died. I finally realized that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't warm his stone-cold heart. When it comes to being heartless, I can only admit defeat to him. I clenched my fist, remained silent, and hung up the phone. The love I once yearned for, after a long time, I discovered it had expired. I don't want it anymore. His parents then called me from a different number. Marcus's mother, who used to be so domineering, was now crying and pleading. "Diana, Marcus really likes you. We were wrong before. Can we make it up to you in the future? Wedding, dowry, whatever you say, we won't argue." I couldn't help but find it funny. I really don't get why people are so despicable. When they need you, they only see you as a cheap option. But when they realize you might leave, they find they have nothing to rely on. Just come and see Marcus. His gastric bleeding is severe. When he passed out, he kept muttering your name. His mother sobbed uncontrollably. I used to hear that Marcus would be in agony whenever he had stomach pain, but now I just felt annoyed. I hung up the phone, grabbed my meeting materials, and entered the conference room. What was I doing all this time? Even if he drinks himself to death now, I won't shed a single tear for him. I thought with Marcus's condition, he probably wouldn't be able to marry me anymore. But I won't shed a single tear for him. I didn't expect him to show up 3 days later. His face was pale and haggard, and he'd lost weight. He looked at me, wanting to say something, but in the end, he stayed silent. He didn't bother me anymore. He just signed a new agreement. All the assets were to be given to me, and he would leave with nothing. "Just consider it as giving me a chance to atone, so that I can have the face to pursue you again," he said with a bitter smile. I shook my head and sighed softly. If only we had known better back then. Why did it have to be like this? "Once upon a time, I also wanted to live happily with you," he said. I had given my all to love this person. I laid everything out for him, begging him to just look at me. I tried my best, but now that I didn't get what I wanted, I have regrets, but no regrets. Marcus kept his head down for a long time and whispered softly, "I was foolish. I could have been happy once. It's a pity I only realize my worth when I lose it. From now on." He cautiously asked, "Can I still contact you?" Perhaps fearing he was being bothersome, he quickly added, "I won't disturb you all the time. Just give me a chance to know if you're doing well." "No need," I smiled at him. "The past is already in the past. We should both move forward." However, I tidied his tie one last time. "When you meet someone who loves you in the future, don't treat them the way you treated me. There's nothing wrong with loving someone, but the person being loved shouldn't trample on others' feelings. Because love is precious, you never know when it might disappear." Marcus's expression was unpleasant, as if my words had turned into a knife, stabbing him fiercely. With a light heart, I couldn't see his expression. I could only hear his voice filled with faint pain, choked with emotion. "All right." "Well then, goodbye, and I wish you happiness." I waved goodbye to him. "Diana," he suddenly called out in a broken voice. "Diana, I can't be happy without you." Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I didn't turn back but walked confidently toward the sunlight. When I love someone, it's with great passion, openness, and I give everything I have. But when I no longer love, I never look back. Everything from the past has dissipated. I won't look back. I will only keep moving forward.